The following letter was written by Private Isaiah Colby of the 5th Ohio Cavalry Regiment. He wrote it to his sister, and when he penned this letter, he was not far from the Tennessee River where the Battle of Shiloh had occurred. April 21st, 1862. The last 3 days have been eventful ones to me. On the 18th, it was my turn to cook, and in the afternoon, I went to the commissary sergeant to draw some pork for supper. He said there was none until the wagons could go to the river to draw our rations. As the wagons were starting, I jumped in and went with them. The river is about 2.5 miles from where we are encamped, and by the time we got there and drew our rations, it was almost dark. After we got our rations in the wagon, one of the men on the boat told me if I had something to put it in, he would give me some molasses. I jumped at the chance and got a bucket out of the wagon, and while I was filling the bucket, the wagon left me to get back the best way that I could over one of the most miserable roads imaginable, through mud and water, sometimes above my knees, and so awful dark you could cut it with a knife. And to crown all, it began to rain. Not sprinkle like it does in Ohio, for up there it does not know how to rain. Just imagine me trotting along on such a night and over such roads with a bucket of molasses hanging to my arm. Before I got half a mile, the bucket became so heavy that I emptied half the molasses out. After all the trouble I had went through to get it, it went kerslap over a snag into the mud, and the bucket flew a yard ahead of me, taking care to leave the molasses with me. There was not a bit of swearing. Just about then, however, I picked myself up and blundered on and inquired at a tent and found out I was completely lost. And what was my joy to find that I got into the 6th Ohio Regiment, the Guthrie Grays. I stayed with them the rest of the night. The 2nd Kentucky was quartered next to them, and I spent the whole of the next day with them and had a good talk over old times. But you would have laughed to have seen me the next morning. I was besmeared all over with mud and molasses. When I got back to camp, I thought I would get in and clean myself up. But the captain had been told of me not answering at roll call, and soon as he heard I was back down, he posted my tent to see where I had been. He took one look at me and then burst out laughing. You may rest assured the next time I go to the river, my horse goes with me. Your brother, Isaiah.